One of the joys of having a baby in your life is watching them hit milestones like learning how to walk, learning how to talk, and how they notice the world around them. New research suggests including specific nutrients in your baby's diet could optimize their brain health and help them reach those milestones. For more, we are joined by neurosurgeon who led this research, Dr. Teresa Persner. Doctor, good to have you in studio this morning.
Hi, Lindsey. Thanks so much. I'm delighted to be here.
And there's so much to talk about. So how did your research as a brain surgeon lead you to learn more about nutrition in the development of babies' brains?
Yeah, so it was really unexpected, actually. Nutrition was not something I thought I'd be focusing on. My time split equally between clinical neurosurgery and then running a basic science lab, where we study early brain development, but in the context of pediatric brain cancer. And so nutrition was just not a focus until I had my kids. And then when I had my kids, I was faced with the same question we're all faced with, which was, what do I feed my kids? I just answered that question through a very different lens, and that lens was, my background in early brain development.
And how did you, so you ended up identifying, what, 16 nutrients?
Yeah, that's right.
And why these 16? How did you get to that point?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's really important to know that those early stages of brain development are critical, right? So the rest of your body self-renews over your entire life, but the neurons you make in those first 3 years, those are the ones you get for life. So at 80, it's the same ones that you made in those first 3 years. And what's interesting is the whole brain doesn't grow at the same time. Different regions grow at different times, and that's why you get these age-based milestones. They reflect a specific region growing. And it turns out each region has its own specific set of nutrients that are critical for its early optimal growth. And so I spent about 1.5 years, 2 years just combing through the literature, trying to find, what are the evidence-based nutrients that are critical for that early stage, and I came to these 16. I think a nuance that's really important is to understand that it's not as if you give a lot of these nutrients, suddenly your kid will have super development and become a baby Einstein.
They're not going to be smarter than everybody else?
You just don't want them to be deficient in those nutrients during that critical window.
Let's talk about some of the nutrients. The first one, is it lutein?
Yeah, lutein. Yeah.
Okay.
So lutein's it's a carotenoid. It's like a vitamin A. So that's something you'd be focusing on very early. The vision for babies is, it's kind of peaking and starting to come out around the time when you're starting to feed them 4 to 6 months. And so because that's a critical window for early visual development, that's when you want lutein to be non-deficient. So you can get lutein from things like dark leafy greens, broccoli, zucchini, things like that.
Optimum time is between 4 and 6 months old. Let's talk about vitamin B.
Yeah, so the B vitamins are especially important for cerebellar development. Moms who are vegan and breastfeeding their kids want to be particularly conscientious of the B vitamins. So if you think of the cerebellum, it's important specifically for gross motor skills around that time. So it's around when your kid's starting to sit, starting to roll over, not quite at the pincher grasp. So we're talking kind of around 8 to 10 months. And you can get the B vitamins from, meat, fish, poultry, brown rice, things like that.
Vitamin E, walk me through that one.
Yeah, so vitamin E is a really interesting one, and it's one that's especially important for all North Americans to think about because it's commonly deficient. So when you look at, if you look at sort of federal statistics, vitamin E is deficient in a lot of North American children who are breastfed in particular. Vitamin E is critical for sort of higher cognitive functioning. So around 12 months when kids are putting together not just their different senses, but also how it relates to problem solving and emotion and memories and stuff like that. So the frontal cortex, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. And then vitamin E, you can get things from like sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds, mangoes of all things. And just as a little tip, in general, little things that give rise to big things tends to be packed with nutrients. So if you're thinking of an egg ultimately gives rise to a chicken, a lot of important nutrients there like choline, which is another commonly deficient, hard to get nutrient. And similarly seeds, so pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, are these little things that give rise to a big plant. They tend to be jam-packed with those hard to get nutrients.
That is a great takeaway. Yeah. Dr. Teresa Persner, great to have you in studio. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.